Alright guys, here we are. Got my 2017 Ram 2500 6.7 here, turbo diesel. I've pretty much done all the fluids up to this point except the coolant. So today the goal is to drain the coolant. I got this special device to flush out the heater core, because the heat does work, but I feel like it's a little bit less on the driver's side. So before the winter comes, right now it's the summer, I'm going to flush it out with that using the compressed air and all that stuff, and water hose to flush it out. I'm gonna take off the fender well on this side. I noticed when I've had to take this off before to change out a sensor or a knock sensor, a lot of debris gets stuck here, so I'm going to do the other side as well. I'm also going to disconnect the hose that runs right down to here. It's right, this hose right here, that goes to the back of this tank here. So I'm going to stick the gun in there, flush out that thing really good. And I'm going to flush out the radiator potentially if I can fit the gun. If I take this off, flush it out in here, or I might just take the top rad hose here, take that off, probably take this cover off too to get some more room, flush it out, use all that with tap water to start with, flush it out real good. Then I'm gonna do multiple flushes with just the still water to try to get all that tap water and any sludge out of the system as much as possible. Then what I'm going to install is this Coolant filtration filter here from Sinister Diesel. Okay, so in here they have all the parts in here, all the directions. It's pretty straightforward. I alt in there a few months back, but I have to take the belt, disconnect this top bolt here, take the belt off, and then take this bracket off. They give you a new bracket, put that bracket on, and then cut the hose here. There's a T fitting there, connect to that, and then you go into the block somewhere over here. So the goal is to at least flush the system. If it's too hot, I might not do the filter today, maybe another time if I feel like it's too hot. And I might service the brakes. I flushed the brake fluid last year, but I think I'm going to do it again. I feel like they're a little bit spongy. There might be air in the system, because I did flush the power steering fluid over the winter. And ever since then, I feel like the brakes don't work as good. So if possible, if time permits, I'll do the brake fluid as well. We'll rotate the tires. And as far as mileage, I got about 105,000 on this truck. So everything has been good so far. I definitely have some issues, but we'll see moving forward how much longer, you know, everything lasts in here, especially this kind of stuff, you know. See if it gets clogged or not. But anyway, today's the goal to flush the coolant system, get everything out of there. I mean, this truck did have a recall for the water pump. I've ran the truck. The water pump's still good. It was changed around 25k miles, and the truck's at 105. So once I hit about 100 on that water pump, I'll probably change it. But so far it's not leaking, no issues, so I'm not going to mess with it now, even though I'm draining the coolant. But once I get to somewhere around 100k, or give or take a little bit, I'll decide to drain the coolant in the radiator, change out the water pump, and all that stuff. The belt looks good too from my view up here. There's no cracks or anything like that, so I'm gonna leave that as well. But right around the 100k or so mark, I'll definitely probably change the water pump, potentially the thermostat, and potentially the belt and all that. I also might take out the thermostat today. It should be in good condition. It's only got 105,000 miles on it, but you never know. But I'll take it out today, so that way when I'm running water through the system here, it could go through the block and flush everything out. So one step at a time, bear with me. I haven't done this procedure on this truck yet. I've done it in other vehicles, but I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube to really kind of guide me through this whole thing. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you step by step how I'm doing this as much as I can in detail, so it can help you on your project like this in the future. So here we go. Now the truck has been sitting overnight, so it's pretty much stone cold. If you have any warmth at all in these hoses, I would suggest waiting. especially open that radiator cap, it could explode on you, cause you to burn, get some burns. But let me show you where the drain cock is for the rear. It's kind of difficult to get to. There's a few methods I've seen guys do. They take off this grill, take off this cover, another cover, pry that off, and you can reach down in there. Take this power steering reservoir out, reach down in there. Kind of show you where it is if I can. You can see in the light there. See that little valve right there? Not sure if you can see it on camera, but right there has an arrow on it. When you tighten it back up, make sure it's facing that part. That's why that part is up, so you know it's tight. But right there is where you need to get to. So since I want to clean out these fender wells here, because a lot of debris gets in here and this could rust it out prematurely, I'm going to take out this fender well as well and see if I can reach up in here and grab it. That's the plan for that. So I'll let you know how it works. But also, my truck's only 2-wheel drive, so not as high as a 4-wheel drives, so I can't fit a 5-gallon bucket under here, especially with this lip. So I got this cement mixing tray here. It's plastic. Hopefully it holds the water. I don't see any holes in it. Let me just check it. It looks okay. So I got some cardboard down to protect the driveway. But this will fit under here. And then disposing it is always kind of like an issue. But my local place takes, I just kind of bottle it and slowly bring it there as I need to dispose of it. So that's what we're going to do. Step 1, remove this panel here, see if I could get to it. And that's a 10mm Allen key that you have to use on that. So make sure you have those tools. I have some around. I'm just going to check and go from there. Okay, got the fender well off. One thing you want to note, it's multiple different, there's 2 screws. This is screw here, a screw here. This is plastic one, like a push fitting, another plastic one over here. Then you got your screws on the outside, so you have to pull those. They broke on me. I'll get a new one for here and here, but these 2 are screws, the rest is screws. This is why I'm doing this too. Look how much stuff is in here. Get you guys a light.
It carried on for days and ultimately became the most expensive rescue effort in America.
You could see how much stuff is just packed in there. So before I put this back on, I'll clean that out, hose it down. I'll be good to go. You could just see how much stuff is in there. Not too big. A little bit of rust on there from the fasteners up there. Not too bad.
Which is important because
but I'll see if I can get access to it from over here. Okay, took a tube. It's difficult to get in here. I really should take the tire off. I don't feel like it right now, and I want the truck low. But I took a tube. It was slightly too small. I did a cut in it, stretch it out. I was able to get on. There's a lot of fussing to get on, but this time we'll see if it stays. I got that right down to my tray here to catch it. So I'm just going to get my Allen key in there. Loosen up that boy and start draining. Okay, so 3/8 seems to fit better than a 10mm. 3/8 fits better, okay guys? Backed out the valve to pretty much where it stopped, but it wouldn't even drain. I had suction on the system, so I took the cap off and now we're draining here. As you can see, definitely draining. Coolant doesn't look horrible.
He was a patent machine. He eventually held 1,093 patents over his career, often beating out his competitors. Edison would do almost anything.
She's draining. While that's going, I'm going to take off the intake, start getting to the heater core here. Heater core lines. Got one here that goes back to the firewall. And you got this one over here. So I'm gonna get to those. I'm gonna take the intake off to get me a little bit more room here. Update. Coolant drain, that took at least 20-25 minutes. A lot to drain. I got these hoses off. I did some penetrating oil. This one wasn't too bad to get off, but that one back here is difficult, and you want to be careful with this quick disconnect right here that you don't snap. You don't want to yank on this hose. You want to hold this thing down and slowly work it off. I had to take a flathead and slowly work it off. It took a lot of time, but I got it. This thing is still on here, not broken. So we're going to hook up the water, show you the next step here to flush this thing out. Okay, here we are. So here's my setup. I got 2 hoses running into a bucket to try to capture as much as I can, dispose of it. You can see these are 5/8 fittings, so you know the heater core hose are 5/8 inner diameter. So that's what I got for this hose. Got this off Amazon. Got these 5/8 fittings. Is this push in here? If this starts leaking here, I'll put a clamp on it, but I want to help relieve some pressure. Let's see, the cap on this says 21 psi. Watch some other videos, guys said be careful not to overload with the pressure of the hose. So I'm going to turn down my compressor to about 15 psi and just go real easy with that. Turn on the water just a little bit, go from there. Show you the process of that. I'm going to get that hooked up now. I got my gun hooked up. This is it on Amazon. Got the compressor set anywhere between 10 and 20 psi. It's hard to read on the gauge there, but it's low. If I show you right now, this is just the air, so it's not much. So what I'm going to do first, I'll hook up to the hose here. Put some air through it.
4,000 in storage because we don't have space for that. Wow. And
it's not even fit.
but it's funny because no matter what, I see a record store, I'm going in, and I can.
It's starting to come out already, though.
How many years of buying records, I know what I'm looking for, and I don't buy records online very much. I still like. How come? I don't know. I like this. I'm like a kid when if I've been looking for something and I see it, I mean, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Really? Yeah. When did you start doing that? DJ. I just, like my dad was doing. But then in early 2000, a friend of mine that worked at the great
I pull that side good.
Things in there that I'm looking for.
I'm going to switch up the sides here. Okay, show you, this is what came out.
Not just being able to do what we do, but not going to see Dan.
Yeah, a little bit of sediment there. Otherwise, not bad at all. Hook up to the other side of the hose and go the other way.
To go to downtown Atlanta in the 80s was dangerous too. You know, it was a violent clip. Obviously, white kids that atmosphere.
Ran a little bit more in this bucket. You can see a little bit of that sediment in the middle there, right there. Otherwise, not too bad. Okay, what I'm doing now, flush them out, both of them real good. Taking air, I'm going both ways to try to get all that water out of there.
We were unvotable, and that was part of the reason that we were drawn to.
Okay, so you can see this is the overflow tank right in here. I want to flush that out. Instead of removing this, which is like a one-time clamp, this runs around here. Thanks to another guy watching YouTube for this tip. Connects up here. So I'm going to aim to disconnect it right here and then flush it out going down. That's the goal anyway. So if you look from up here, right down over here.
This is the way it goes, and that changes.
Probably have to take off the intake to get to it. So if you can see this pipe right here. This one right here. That one goes to here and comes up. Goes to the block or the EGR cooler. So I'm gonna see if I can get that off. Okay, getting this pipe off here, this hose right here that goes to the coolant box up was a nightmare. I just probably just spent an hour and a half or 2 hours working on this part right here. I got penetrating oil, a bunch of different things. I had to take out the air box here to get to it. I took off the connection for the alternator. So it was very difficult to get to. I mean, very. I got it off. What makes it so hard too is the clamp. I can't really slide over enough because it's swelled up here. So basically worked it little by little, and I eventually got it, which definitely took a while, but I got it. So I'm gonna flush this out as best as possible, reconnect that, and while I'm in here, I'll put the bracket on for the coolant bypass, which goes to here, so I can access the alternator, loosen up the belt, take it off here, with hopefully not, having to reroute it. So let it hang, clamp it onto something, bring down the alternator, and then put this bracket on. So there we go. Okay, so I got my catch pan under here. Here's the hose right here. I'll show you right here. Pan's down there. So I'll hook up the hose, flush this thing out. Okay, so I flushed that out multiple times with the air compressor and the hose. Remember, not going too hard on the pressure. Anywhere from 10 and 20 psi I'm running the compressor at the most 20, at the lowest about 10. But just pumping it through, ran it multiple times. It's a little bit on the side here, but I really can't get that. I've been trying to work as much as possible. Maybe I'll do it one more time. But anyway, you can see up in here, all that sludge that was in there is pretty much gone. Probably 90–95%, so that looks really good compared to where it was. So that's that. Okay, I got the EGR tube off. Make sure you got a gasket here and gasket there. I had this one full on me, so be careful. It fell down way down in between here, but I have a magnet, one of these guys here, to reach down and get it. Good thing I had that to get it, because that was a goner otherwise. Got two different sides here, so just line them up, make sure they're good. You got this nut under here, which is difficult. I used a ratcheting 8mm wrench and slid it over and pulled it out. Then I took this the cover off that's on top of here, this shield. 2 8mm just loosen a little bit and it just swivels right off. Then you got your 3 in here to get to the thermostat, so I can take that out. Then you got this bracket here, so I'm gonna loosen up the bracket there, so that way I can swivel this hose up and flush the whole radiator out. That's the goal anyway. So I got the rad off here, thermostat out, going through this top hose here. Remember, not going too crazy with the air still at 10 and 20 psi. Hose is about halfway on. I got it coming out this hose over here too that I took off the other hose that goes from the coolant. So it's flushing out this whole thing. Alright, well, it's been a long day, taking my time, going thorough with this. This is the new bracket for the Sinister diesel kit. Getting off these bolts, what you want to do, there's two 10mm on here. There's actually 3 of them. 3. You want to take these 3 off first, and then take this bracket off, which would be the old one. You got 3 13mm. Then you could put this one on, tighten this down first, then put this on, you're good to go. Okay guys, here we are back the next day. So I got to yesterday, got this bracket in, belts back on, everything's tightened down good. I fill it up with distilled water just overnight, so the tap water is not sitting in the block at all, or at least as much. Got the fitting up here put in, you can see that right down in here. You got to be careful with that one. When I took off the plug that was on the motor, that was really difficult to get off. I used a breaker bar and it popped off. I was worried about it kind of breaking, but it didn't. I hit it with a lot of penetrating oil and that helped. Got it off, put that new one on there, You gotta remember, when you put that in, you want to snug it down. You don't want to crank the hell of it, because it'll just keep on turning all the way until it bottoms out. Kind of like when you put like connection air hose on the back of air gun or something. Just get it in there snug. That should hold. You know, the system's only about 22 psi or so. So once you get the Teflon in there, snug it down good. It worked. To go over that, I had to use a 22 mil socket to fit over that with a 1/2 inch, 6-inch, 1/2 inch section and a 1/2 inch ratchet. So between all those, it's definitely tight in there. If it does leak, we'll find out. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to install the filter kit here, connect everything. I got water in there. I'll top it off a little bit more if I have to. Then I'm going to run the truck. I'm going to run it for like 5-10 minutes. Then I'm going to drain it. I'm going to do that 2, maybe 3 times, and then fill it with coolant. And the next time, this time I just filled it with a funnel. Okay, quick tip: 1/4 inch ratchet, about a 12-inch section or so, 1/4 inch swivel, 1/4 inch socket. In order to get down in there to tighten this up, you need a real long screwdriver. I don't have one, so I did it from above with this swivel socket. Snugged it down. Basically, you don't want to crank them too hard. There's worm clamps. If it doesn't leak, it's good enough. We'll check it. But very difficult to get at that one. Now my next challenge is over here. This hose they come with is barely long enough. I don't know why they make it so damn short, but I'm gonna do the best I can with here and hope for no leak. So wish me luck. Next step. Okay, so got everything connected here. Cut the hose here. I loosen this up here so I can swivel this back so this hose can reach without, you know, kinking any lines. That's in there snug. These are on. If these are off the other way, they're off. I gotta tighten that up. Filters in. I pre-fill it with some distilled water. Put some water around the ring so that way seats on there good. Everything's good and tightened down. Coolant's in there. Water distilled. We're gonna start this thing up. Connect the battery. Start it up. Wish me luck. It's running good. When you overfill it, it ends up coming out. There's a hole down here. I don't know how the vacuum kit's going to work for that, but when you overfill, it comes out a hole right below here. It seems to be holding pretty good. I'll let it run for another 5 minutes or so and then drain it out. See what the temps are. I'm only at 100 right now. Turn off the cruise control. Looking good, tell you that. He's looking good, folks. 114. Thermostat doesn't open at 190. I don't know if I'm gonna let it run that long. Mark the line in case that filter wants to get loose. I know where it needs to be tight. Ball valves are open in line. If you turn them this way, they're off. 127. Another few minutes. Shut it down. 132. Coolant. Now we'll drain the radiator. Do it again. Alright, if you guys see what I mean, how much stuff gets backed up in here, but you really want to clean this out every so often. Just look how much junk is in there. I'll hose this out. Okay, show you guys how I'm doing this. Just using the standard Mopar 10-year old coolant. Distilled water. Pour a gallon in here of that, gallon in here of distilled water. Pour it in these. Do it again. I got 4 gallons, and I got one more motor per gallon over there in case I need it. So I'm gonna fill this, close the drain cock valve, top this thing off, run it again, and check over the next week or so, make sure we got all the air out. The vacuum system I got is not functioning, so I can't use that. But what I've been doing is I just kind of fill it up and I loosen this area while the truck's running. Once it starts coming out of here, it's pretty much full. It really doesn't require any more at that point. So this time, the highest temperature I got up to about 160 this time. I'll let it get a little bit higher or so, take it for a ride, try to get up to operating temperature, come back, check it, and see how we look. But we should be good just by loosening this. Once it comes out of there, we're good to go. But fill this bad boy up, make sure we're good. Okay, ran it, got up to about 190, 194. Coolant didn't drop, still right there. You got to shake the truck to see it, because you know the bottle's stained, even though I hosed the hell out of it. Still a little bit stained. All right, pretty much up to the split area, just slightly above that. So I'm gonna take this thing for a ride, try to get up the temperature again, and then that should be good. But I put basically 3 3/4 back in there, 50-50, and the rest is just distilled water in the system. So we're probably like 60-40 mix. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm in Jersey here, so it gets cold, but doesn't get 20 below. Might get 10 below at the most, or 0, so that should be fine. If I'm really worried, I could test the coolant. Everything's back on. Always check around your hood here, make sure you didn't leave anything in here. One time I left a clamp right here, and it stayed here somehow. Didn't move. I just gotta put this one bolt back on for the power steering reservoir, and we're good to go. I'm taking it for a ride and just make sure we're good. That should be it. Okay, so one thing I'll note here is I took this for a drive. Definitely got up to operating temperature. It went up to 197, 198. Then the thermostat definitely opened and dropped it to 190. And the level dropped a little bit. It's a little bit below, man, but it's not much. I got to top that off once this cools down. Take it for another ride and just check it over the next week to make sure we're good. But once that thermostat opened, it definitely sucked in a little bit there. So keep that in mind when you refill it. You want to check it every day or so, especially when you first take it for a ride. Check it, let it cool down, and then next week or so keep an eye on it. You don't want to run low on coolant, but it shouldn't drop much more than that. But we will see. But just look out for that. All right, hopefully this helps you guys.